Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the global Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Tell everybody your sister with the curly braids is on now. Thank you so very much, family. Certainly, you all know we have been doing quite a bit of discussion here about the upcoming elections here in the United States, the presidential elections. Of course, we know there are elections happening literally all over the world this year in record numbers. Yes. And of course, the presidential elections in the United States is no different, and it's certainly of great consequence. Joe Biden is in a very desperate position. I'm sure you've heard the statement, desperate times calls for desperate measures. So out of complete and total desperation, he decides to appeal to a historically Black college and university here in the United States that's known as an HBCU. Well, this HBCU is the alma mater of the great late Dr. Martin Luther King, among many others. So this is the staff, the leadership of Morehouse College that actually invited Joe Biden. Allegedly, this invitation was sent out before a lot of the stuff that's happened over in the Middle East, but nevertheless, they decided to go ahead and allow him to do a commencement address to graduating Black students. Shame on the leadership there. And then to add insult to injury, the school had the nerve to award him with an honorary doctorate. You ready for this? In law. Joe Biden is the mastermind behind the 1994 crime bill that Bill Clinton signed. He's the one that was the main driver and craftsman of that anti-Black legislation that is directly responsible for the destruction of at least 2 generations of Black people here in the United States. And of course, he has supported, Joe Biden, that is, multiple other anti-Black forms of legislation prior to that. In recent times, Joe Biden said that America is doomed in part because of Black folks and because Caucasians' numbers are going to be in the minority in the United States come 2040. This Joe Biden who said during the previous election that if we did not know who to vote for in terms of whether it's him or Donald Trump, then we're not Black. This is who brought this man in. He used the law to destroy Black families, and Morehouse gave him an honorary doctorate of law degree. Shame on you. This piece that I am reading from now talks about how Joe Biden invokes struggle and faith. Invoking struggle and faith, it says here, Biden reaches out at Morehouse. President Biden invokes scripture and lessons from his own tragic past on Sunday in a commencement address to hundreds of young Black men at Morehouse College, saying that he believes that there are, quote, extremist forces aligned against the meaning and message of the prestigious institution. He invokes scripture. Let me tell you all something. Number one, you all know that there have been many rallies and protests in lots of colleges and universities here in the United States because of the genocide that's happening against the Palestinian people, right? Well, Joe Biden is having difficulty finding a place to speak, but he finds a home with relative ease in a Black school. That's because you all are the most docile Black family, which is surely a sign that something is the matter with you, that he could count on Black folks in the United States to not embarrass him and humiliate him before the world. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, desperate times calls for desperate measures because his poll numbers are so low. He's amongst Black Americans, amongst all groups really, but it's particularly Black Americans who are the most faithful voting bloc for the Democrat Party. And of course, they have a unique concern for Black folks, Black males, and young Black people, which the graduating students at Morehouse fits pretty much all of those categories. Yes. The school allowed him to give a commencement address from this arch anti-Black white supremacist. Not only that, after it was over, guess what the school had the nerve to do? Morehouse College issued a letter congratulating how well behaved the graduating students were in respecting Joe Biden. One of the other pieces I read talked about how some of the parents encouraged their children not to protest. Shame on the parents and shame on the leadership of Morehouse. Why do I say that? I know that parents, you must teach your babies to be intelligent, not to be reckless, and to be all they can be. But baby, we are still at war. You have to also teach your children sacrifice and give them the truth about where we find ourselves in the world. We're not completely free. So who's going to be the ones to step up to the plate? Everybody can't be sitting here pretending like we have the prerogative to sing and high five we've overcome something when we're still in the thick of war. That is not a good thing, that you're teaching your children to be docile to injustice and an oppressive Jim Crow Joe Biden.
You start a college just as George Floyd was murdered, and there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If Black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave Black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. Well, that's my commitment to you, to show you democracy, democracy, democracy is still the way. If Black men are being killed in the street, we bear witness. For me, that means to call out the poison of white supremacy. Graduates, this is what we're up against. Extremist forces aligned against the meaning and message of Morehouse. And they peddle a fiction, a caricature, what being a man is about. Tough talk, abusing power, bigotry. But that's not you. It's not us. You all know and demonstrate what it really means to be a man. Being a man is about strength, of respect and dignity. It's about showing up, because it's too late if you have to ask. It's about giving hate no safe harbor.
He invokes scripture because he knows he can use that to pimp you and to drive you back into a tamed position. It goes on to say President Biden on Sunday appealed to the graduating men of Morehouse College and Black voters by extension to align themselves with him on the side of democracy and against the forces of white supremacy that have coursed through American politics. He says, quote, "It's natural to wonder if the democracy you hear about actually works for you." He said in a half-hour commencement speech, "What is democracy when Black men are being killed in the streets? What is democracy when a trail of broken promises still leave Black communities behind? What is democracy when you have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot?" He knows all that's him. So y'all just gonna sit there and let him play in your face? He's talking as if they and them are over there. He's the they and the them. That's the white supremacist that forces us to be 10 times better and that has no place for us in this so-called democracy. Joe Biden was the one that advocated our incarceration and destruction. He's talking about himself. Yes, I know it was a small little handful of Black men that turned their backs on him in solidarity with some of the Palestinian folks. But before you all called him other names related to the unjust war, he was known as Jim Crow Joe Biden because of the undoing of the Black family here in the United States for many decades. Shame on the leadership of Morehouse, shame on the students, and shame, yes, even of the parents. We are at war, so you must act like it, family. That was absolutely horrendous and disgusting to be so compliant and accommodating to someone who has shown themselves to be an adversary to Black empowerment and to the overall well-being of foundational Black Americans. We got a long way to go here in these United States. It is not a privilege and an honor to have a white supremacist president, quote unquote, grace your stage. No, the honor is for him to be in your presence. And when you participate without demanding something from him, you give legitimacy to an illegitimate system. And that's where you're wrong. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Be sure to check out my website and my school and products and services at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. I have so many wonderful things as I'm raising up the new world leaders and history makers. I'm telling you, your life will never be the same when you connect with me at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. I can't wait to see you again.